Hey, I'm Mark from Performance Bicycle, and I'm here today to explain a fundamental technique of mountain bike riding, which is how to go over a log. It applies to logs as well as other obstacles that you might encounter on the trail. It's one of the techniques that people learn fairly early on because it allows them to stay on the trail without getting off the bike and walking over stuff and just being more comfortable no matter what you come across. So we're going to go over the different techniques you can use. I'm going to explain 3 or 4, but there's actually quite a few ways to do it, and this is just a few examples. Okay, so the first technique we're going to cover is where most people start out. It allows you to approach the obstacle or the log at a slower rate of speed, which is going to be more comfortable when you're just learning how to do it. You're going to approach the log at basically a walking speed. You're going to lift up on the handlebar so that the front wheel goes up onto the log. Think of your front wheel, your front axle as the center point of a lever, and as you push your front wheel up on the log, you're going to push the handlebars forward, and that's going to pivot you and the bike over the log, and then the rear wheel is going to come over to the log, and you're going to want to shift your weight back slightly at this point so that you don't have so much weight on the front end, and then you're just going to roll off the log. It's going to be a little clunky, and it's not going to be quite as smooth as when you progress a bit and start going over the log, carrying more speed, and just kind of using the front wheel to go over it. So this is the first technique, which is using both wheels on the log and going at a slow rate of speed. The second technique is really an evolution of the first one. All that you're doing is you're increasing your speed and your timing so that as you approach the log, lift up the front wheel, use it as a lever, and push down, your back wheel comes up, and you're going fast enough that you really either barely touch the log with the rear wheel or you're kind of still suspended, and then you land. And really what this does is it allows you to maintain your speed, your riding speed on the trail, and impress onlookers that might be watching you. Okay, the third technique is quite a bit different. What we're going to do is you're going to lift the front wheel up a bit higher than the log so that it doesn't even contact the log. Keep your weight shifted back, and then as your front wheel goes over it and your rear wheel is about to contact it, just lift up and kind of basically wheelie over the log. This kind of sets you up for what's probably the most advanced technique, which is just hopping over the log and not touching it at all. So this is kind of the first half of that technique. So you'll come up to the log at a speed that's a little faster than a walking speed, kind of the speed at which you'd be riding the trail. Lift up, and then as you get to about here, before your rear wheel contacts it, just kind of bunny hop the bike and let it roll over. And you'll exit both wheels at the same time and roll out of it. The final technique is just simply hopping over the log so that your tires don't contact it at all, or just brush it. It's the fastest way to go over a log. Your timing has to be really good because you don't want to pick the bike up too soon, set the front wheel down in front of the log, and fly off the bike. And basically, it's just like doing a bunny hop on flat ground or onto a curb or a smaller object. You just shift your weight back to lift the front wheel up, and then push the handlebars forward, let your legs compress, and the wheel will just follow, and you'll go over the log. Okay, so there are a few techniques for hopping over a log. I hope it helps you. What I would say is, as a tip, just maybe start with a smaller log. This is a pretty good size log. Something 5 or 6 inches in diameter is a good starting place. If you have some friends that can be around while you're trying it the first few times, that's a good idea. They can spot you or whatever. And always wear your helmet, and have a good ride. Hey, I'm Mark from Performance Bicycle, and I'm here today to explain a fundamental technique of mountain bike riding, which is how to go over a log. It applies to logs as well as other obstacles that you might encounter on the trail. It's one of the techniques that people learn fairly early on because it allows them to stay on the trail without getting off the bike and walking over stuff and just being more comfortable